How's it going today? Today we're going to talk about, I got a lot of questions about are airlines to buy? Am I buying airlines? I'm going to get into that, but make sure you like and subscribe. I do videos like this, and make sure you leave a comment of what you want to hear next. I could try to get to all the comments. I see a lot of comments on airlines all over the internet and everything, and I'm just going to jump right into it. But I have to teach about the philosophy just for a little bit, talk about what my investment strategy is with these and my philosophy of buying it. Basically, I always ask myself 3 questions before I buy. And the biggest question is it going to beat the market? That's what I ask before I buy anything, before I recommend anything on this channel. Is it going to beat the market? Because what's the point of buying stocks if you can easily buy an index fund and just get a decent return? And what's the point, right? So that's why I look at, and the 5 ways I beat my investment strategies is as long-term growth. Think of Shopify, MongoDB, Twilio, tech stocks, technical analysis, and swing trades. So essentially, if I think it's going on a support level, EMA lines and stuff like that, I'm really not going to get into that whole lot on this channel. But the option trading, if I think it's going to be a breakout, such as a triangle pattern or a head and shoulder pattern or something like that, or a cup and handle pattern, that I think it's going to break out of that, and it could make a pretty quick move. And options, you can make a pretty big move on that. And then short is how I also do it, shorting and everything like that, which I talked a little bit about on my channel, and what I call value trading, which I'm going to talk about value trading. It's kind of like a hybrid between value investing, but I call it value trading because I don't hold them. I hold them until I basically make some money on them, honestly. You know what I mean? Like a nice 20-30%. And I go on the valuation of it. And that's what I'm going to get into on this video heavily. But that's basically the 5 ways I beat the market through my investment philosophies and stuff like that, my investment and strategy. That's the 5 ways I beat the market. And that's really the 5 ways that, I've learned over the years. And that's really what I'm going to talk about now. Will I open a value trade on this? What I call a value trade is something, basically, I believe it's valued at $10. It's selling for $5. I'm going to hold it till it maybe gets 10, maybe 8, or maybe 12. If it gets overvalued, I will sell it and I will take profits. And I do that a lot of times. I did with the banks back in 2018. They went below its book value on a book value valuation. So essentially, then I pulled the trigger, bought it at 22, then waited it. And normally times when I do value trading, I use margin. I use a loan. I use it so I can raise a lot of capital, you know what I mean? Because then it's low risk if it's a good investment. So essentially, that's what I call value trading. It's kind of like a hybrid value investor. It's almost like the Benjamin Graham philosophy. But anyway, I'm not going to get into value trading if I get too much into it. But anyway, is it a good trade on these stocks? I'm going to talk about the 3 big ones: American Airlines, Southwest, and Delta Airlines. Are they a value trade? Are they a value trap? And I'm going to get right into it. And we're going to kick it off with American Airlines, which I believe is probably the worst out of all 3 of these. I would not recommend it at all as a value trade. Now, I think if you buying it, because it has negative cash flow. It has a cash flow burn. You look at the cash flow statement all the way down the bottom, it will say free cash flow. It will have the operating income minus the capital expenditures. And if that number is negative, that means they're basically in a cash burn. They're basically burning more cash than they have. And the problem is with American Airlines is it has negative book value. What that basically means, if you took all the assets and paid off all the debt, what you would be left is equity. So essentially equity and book value is basically the same thing. Book value is basically what they're talking about is you divide by shares outstanding, you get a different number. But book value, that's what you look at. It's actually negative on the balance sheet. So that means they're losing money, burning money, and they have a horrible balance sheet. So, is there any value there? Absolutely not. I would stay away from American Airlines. Now here's the thing. America, I'm not saying it's going bankrupt. This is not a bankrupt story. I'm not saying it will go bankrupt. It could actually. But the 2 things I know about airlines, the industry, if I'm going to go for a value trade, I have to know the industry. I have to know what's going on because I'm going to take probably a loan for it. I'm probably going to use some margin. I'm going to go in there like that. And it should be a safe value trading and value investing should be pretty simple. It should be easy. It should be safe too. It's like Warren Buffett's philosophy. You don't lose money. And that's really what you're doing. So essentially, is American Airline gonna do well? Well, that depends. They could probably have to get a bailout. They could probably have to get bailed out. And one thing I've always learned is don't rely on the government. Don't rely on the bailout. Don't rely on any of that. Look at the pot stocks. They were hoping for a legalization. I don't do that. And that's why I don't like ballot attacks, because you're waiting on the FDA to approve your drug. And if it does, good. If it doesn't, it's going to crash. You know what I mean? So essentially, that's why I really don't like American, I almost called American Online. I almost called American Airlines. I just don't really like the company. I don't really believe, because I don't know what's going to happen with the coronavirus. Let's say it spikes up in the fall, and you know what I mean? And that's going to be a long fall and long winter. If we have to shut everything down again, and travel restrictions, I think will probably stay in place for maybe a year or so, until we get a vaccine or something like that. So I believe the airlines are just kind of dead weight for the most part. But now the next one is Southwest. Southwest is actually probably the best one out of all these. Southwest has a pretty good balance sheet. It has actually a almost $10 billion in equity, which is pretty good. I mean, that's basically what I mean by equity is basically if you sold all the assets minus all the liabilities, if they just shut the doors tomorrow and sold everything and paid off all the debt, they would have $10 billion. But they have to compare it to the market cap. The market cap of Southwest is $18 billion. So essentially, basically, you'd be buying it, if you buy at book value, if you bought it all, at the market cap and then liquidated everything, you'd have $10 billion. So you paid 18, you got $10 billion. So essentially on a book value valuation, that's not very good. Now I looked at the cash flow. It's hard to tell. So essentially, as this thing, will I buy Southwest? I don't believe it's undervalued. I mean, I believe it's valued maybe around 15, maybe 12. Maybe if it hits around 15 billion, market cap, I might pick it up. But I really don't see there's an opportunity with Southwest, but I believe it's a good company still. I actually own Southwest for a long time, for a while, and it's been just kind of flat. The airline industry is just kind of this flat industry for a while, and I just kind of eventually sold it because it wasn't beating the market, and I didn't really believe it. And that was before this all happened. So essentially, I can't recommend it, and it's not really cheap enough to go what I could believe it's in a value play. So it's really not that cheap. And now the next one is Delta Airlines. Delta it's kind of the mixed one. It's kind of like in between Southwest and American Airline. I think Southwest is the best, and American Airline is the worst. So, and Delta, in my opinion, is probably right in the middle. It's sitting about what I call fair value. I think it's valued around 15. It's sitting around 16 billion. So essentially, it has to drop below that. You know what I mean? It has to drop below that value. I don't buy it at that value. It has to go below that. It has to go below 15. So if it was selling at about 14, 16, or 14, or 13, or 12, then I might pick it up. Or Southwest, if it dropped below that 9 billion or 8 billion, even better. But I don't see that. So that's really what my opinion is about the airlines. That's why I haven't picked any of them up. I believe you can maybe make a trade or whatever, but I believe it's straight up gambling if you don't know what you're doing with that stuff. And I see a lot of people, and really a lot of these people, they don't know what they're doing. I believe they're just throwing good money after bad. There's plenty of stocks that are actually doing well. Companies are actually doing well. Buy those companies. Don't wait for these. Unless you know more about it than I do, leave a link and a comment. If you're buying them, give me the reason why you're buying them. You know what I mean? If you think the government's going to bail them out, or hopefully it's not wishful thinking. Hopefully you got some evidence or some support. I mean, so that's all I got to say. And even Buffett bailed on them. So I think Buffett kind of knows that these things are kind of overvalued still, and it's going to take a long time for these things to get back to normal. For a cash flow basis and a dividend basis. So even Buffett bailed on them. So I really think that it's pretty safe to say I think it's kind of throwing good money after bad. I wouldn't recommend them. I haven't recommended them on this channel, and I probably won't. I mean, there's certain industries I just stay away from, especially the car industry, the oil industry. I just think they're kind of dead weights. They have, for a different reason, I believe, I think I still have a video where I didn't like Ford. I didn't like that company. That was years ago. There's certain industries, I just don't like them. But anyway, maybe I could make a video of why I don't like certain industries, and I think they're kind of just dead weight. And that's all I got to say for that. Hopefully this video will hopefully save you some money and not make some poor investment strategies. And I really just don't believe they go outperform certain stocks, because you can buy both. You can buy American, you can buy Southwest, Or you can buy the Trade Desk, Twilio, and great companies that are doing well. Shopify. I mean, what would you rather have? Southwest or Shopify in your portfolio? Hopefully you pick Shopify or even Amazon or anything like that, especially with fractional shares too. Like you can just buy 10%. You can just buy $2 or $100 of Amazon. I mean, I hate when people just look at the stock price. I hate that. You have to look at the market cap. Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe the video. Leave a comment of what you guys are looking at. I'm coming out with videos. I got some stock picks I'm coming out with. I got some reviews. I'm reviewing some stocks and some other videos coming out. So essentially, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will keep you guys posted and everything like that. And thank you for watching. Thank you.